Not a whole lot happened that turn. He did go and reinforce even further here. I think he kind of expected me to attack this way reinforced. I don't know if he intends to hit Bull's Run or not. I think if he attacks, I have a fair capability of pushing him back. I've got, what, 4,400 power there. He's got 57. But I have better generals. Plus, he has a little bit of a combat penalty. Plus, he has McDowell, who's not all that great, especially on the attack. And it looks like from his division commanders, I'm not sure if Thomas is who I'm thinking of. Yeah, Thomas is actually really good, but the rest of his division commanders are not very good. So, whereas all of mine are awesome. 433, 432, 536, and then obviously McClellan I got 541. So defense not great, but 2 on the defense and 2 on the defense for these two guys. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to try and screw with him a little bit. I'm going to move Jackson forward. I'm jumping the river with Stuart to raid this area, tear up the rail line, bounce back. My hope is to make him think that by tearing up the rail line and cutting off McClellan, just temporarily, obviously, that he'll think twice, one, to go down the Shenandoah, but then also suspect that I'm going to try and make a move on McDowell's army here. I'm not, because I don't think I could take it, but just the same, just to kind of keep him off toe a little bit. I am moving my division of Walker up to here to reinforce my rear for Jackson, really for 2 reasons. One, to provide support to the army in Northern Virginia, but then also to provide a little bit of support to the Shenandoah if he decides to push down. Bringing some artillery over here, because it looks like he's pushing just a little bit through the mountains here. I don't have too much of a force, but I've got a little bit. If I put some artillery here, and then I'm also moving an infantry division over that has sharpshooters, that's a pretty robust defense, given that I'm in mountains plus artillery plus the sharpshooters. So I'm pretty confident in being able to hold, at least for the short term, my far left flank here over in Western Virginia. I'm going to move Smith over, like I mentioned previously, over to Norfolk area. I'm going to move Sidney Johnson over here so that these two stacks can support each other. And, I mean, just to put it in perspective here, so Norfolk, let's see here. I think it's called Norfolk on here. Sorry, I should have pulled this up before. Instead of making me scroll through. So Norfolk is giving me only $1 a turn. Wow. Thought I was getting more than that. You would expect with the... I think it's because I'm being blockaded. That's what I'm guessing. I am getting 2 war supply a turn, which is good. I'm only getting $1 out of there. That's really annoying. And to be even... And so what's really annoying is I'm being blockaded even though I have artillery here. So I should be able to shoot these guys, but I can't. I don't... Here, I think I can tell if I'm being blockaded. Oh, that's right. So I just started this turn, so I'd have to generate the turn to know whether I'm being blockaded or not. Anyways, I still get some benefit from holding Norfolk, mainly that in order for him to assail Richmond, he would have to sail past Norfolk and all these artillery placements. So it's helpful to hold these as a Confederacy as long as possible, because any sort of assault on Richmond would be met with a lot of artillery barrages, and that's not good for him. So I have a couple 20-pounders at both of these places to ensure that I do maximum damage. So anyways, just to go back to this just really quick. So I'm going to hold Lee here, move Jackson forward up into Leesburg. Not really, I mean, literally I'm not going to do anything, but it's more just to give him the impression that I might be doing something. I kept this guy here to maintain my fortification of 2. And so my entrenchment level 2 is going to be Jackson's entrenchment level 2. In case he decides to attack Leesburg, then what I'm hoping is Jackson will be able to arrive prior to or at the same time as he attacks Leesburg, and I'll have a 2 entrenchment, if not 3, by the time Jackson gets there. Moving Stuart forward just to tear up that rail line and give him some suspicions as to what my intentions are. I do have Beauregard over here, so now he's going to be Army Commander of the Mississippi. I'm going to move Johnson back to over to Norfolk area to run things over there. I have 2 divisions over here. He's got 1,300 power under 2 divisions. I have 2 divisions, so I'm good with this for now. I wasn't able to build more troops here, unfortunately, this turn, because I just don't have the money. So I'm hoping maybe I can do that next turn and just kind of hold on to this as long as possible. Although as soon as Kentucky flips, I'm kind of in a situation where I'm like, probably have to pull back at that point. Johnston to get over here as well, so now he's gonna run the Mississippi Theater. He's gonna be my Army Commander for the Mississippi. I have 4 divisions total over here as it currently stands with the Mississippi. Although the problem is Kentucky / Tennessee is only gonna have 2 divisions for now, so I may have to kind of play that by ear and decide whether I want to move a division over or not. Here's what I got under Forest. And I'm moving some mounted infantry over here as well. And as soon as the weather clears up, I should be able to hit these within 1 turn. So like right now, it's 2 turns. And I just don't want to risk that. I don't want to give away the fact that I'm going to be raiding his supply chain. Same thing with this guy. 20 turns. So I want them to be able to hit both of these at the same time. Because he's got a supply depot, I think, here, and here. So he's clearly setting himself in, and I think he might be, what is he building, another supply depot right here? I think he is. So basically what he's trying to do is just get right on my doorstep here down at Fayette. So I can hold out for now. I don't know what he has up there. He's got 2 divisions. I have 2 divisions. So we'll see. Far West has gotten interesting. He pulled back, I think, because of supply issues. So I'm going to push forward, try and burn this fort, burn that fort, well, stockade rather, and then that'll give him, he'll still have a supply depot up here at Fort Craig, but at least then we'll have a little bit of separation between his supply depot and my main base down here in New Mexico. He did push up here, but there's nothing here, so he's going to have to jump across and move up, or try and move down. I am torching this. I don't know. 5 days. I think I'm just going to leave him here and let him torch it. And then just to make sure. I am burning this fort. I'm going to move this artillery up. These are brand new artillery that just got done. 6-pounder and 12-pounder. Plus him, I'm going to move him up. As you can see, he's got lots of mounted line infantry, which is awesome. And a 6-pound artillery piece. So we have 2 6-pounders and 12-pounder, which is pretty good defense. And then also, some solid offense. So my hope here is to basically achieve military control on this side of the river, which then would require him to cross the river to get to me, which would put us in good shape over here. So basically it's Far West, Fayetteville here, Fayette, Arkansas, and then eventually the Mississippi, Tennessee, and then Virginia is basically our fronts as it stands. I would say he's being a bit defensive or very conservative, but as the Union, he can do that because I suspect come summer, all hell is going to break loose. He's going to just throw everything he's got into me. So here's what we're building as it currently stands. I put these down this turn right here, these 4. So sharpshooter, a couple of line infantry brigades, and then artillery. And then here's what we have as far as chits, reinforcement chits are concerned. And then let's just look at the events here. Military balloons. I moved the military balloon I got in Richmond. I move up to Lee. And then we pass the Partisan Ranger Act. Oh, one other thing too, by the way. So I did get these guys, the Georgia Elite Division, or Brigade rather. So I'm going to move them up to Richmond, put them in the city so that I can get this artillery piece, which that's what I think it is, and then move them to the front. But that's a major add. Thank goodness we finally got those guys. And then Shelby, I'm going to move him. So I'm separating him, the siege artillery. I'm going to put that up in Richmond in the event that I need it for DC or something, which I'm being probably way overly hopeful, but whatever. But I'm moving Shelby up here, mainly so that he can support Louisiana down New Orleans, or go to the front to Mississippi, or I can rush him to the Kentucky theater. Just various options. I do need to add another, 2 infantry, I think, to this. Yeah, I think I need... He's got way too much artillery, so I need more infantry, less artillery for his division, and then I also need another division commander so that he can be the leader, and then I'll put a division commander. I'll probably use B, I'm guessing. I'm probably going to take him, 322. That way he's relatively okay on offense as well as defense until such time as I can find a better division commander to kind of do things. So, all right, I will conclude this, and thanks for watching. Appreciate it. All right, I'm going to try to go through this turn pretty quick because not a whole lot happened, and I believe the next turn here there will be some action, so I will explain further in a moment. So the song Dixie is published in early May 1862. The song originated in the Blackface Minstrel shown of the 1850s and quickly grew famous across the United States. Its lyrics, written in an exaggerated version of African American English vernacular, tells the story of a freed black slave pining for the plantation of his birth. So Dixie was adopted as a de facto anthem of the Confederacy. And then also, so now Kentucky has not switched sides yet, even though it's 1862 May, but it is leaning towards the Union, so it's quite possible that Kentucky will switch over in the next turn. So a few of my moves kind of anticipate that. But let's get into the action here in Virginia. So talking to Josh, he thinks that he has Jeb Stuart surrounded. So my understanding of that is he knows he's cavalry. So he's probably going to move on Leesburg to try and cut Stuart off. And that's what I was anticipating. So what I have here is I have Jackson moving back to Leesburg. Now that I look at the overall strategic picture, I wish I had moved. I kept Jackson here just so he can get to Leesburg a little bit quicker. I had expected Josh to be a bit more aggressive in Shenandoah, and he wasn't. So I had Jackson over here really for no reason. But I'm going to move him back here. I think 7 days. That should be okay, because any kind of movement from Fairfax, Virginia, or from across the river from Harper's Ferry is probably going to take about 5 or 7 days to get to Leesburg. So I'm going to move Jackson back here. I'm going to move Walker up to Leesburg, more just kind of as a delay tactic. So he's going to get there in 5 days. If for whatever reason it takes him less than 7 days to get to Leesburg, then my hope is that he will act as a delaying tactic until Jackson's corps can get here, which then obviously will allow Lee's other kind of component of this army to get involved in the Leesburg battle. And then I'll have Stuart retreating as well. Tearing up some rail line, but just moving him back. And again, the whole intent here was to pull him in to hopefully sending, not all that robust of a force up to Leesburg. I'm hoping he sends maybe a 2,000 power force, if that. And he won't be entrenched. I will be somewhat entrenched. But then I'll also have my 2 most aggressive generals in the entire Confederacy attacking Leesburg. And so my hope is that even though his power is higher than mine, my more aggressive, more capable generals will be able to take advantage of his lack of fortifications and the fact that I have better generals than he does to inflict some pretty heavy casualties. Part of the reason, again, I was doing this was that he seemed to be pulling troops off the front line, which generally for the Union means he's either shifting them to the west or, more likely, setting them up to try and land along the coasts of the Carolinas or Richmond. And I didn't want to give him that opportunity, so my hope is this will create a distraction. It already has, because he brought his, I don't want to say relocated, but reallocated his troops back to the front lines, because he's got 7,000 power here, which generally means that that's basically his entire force is here and here. So I don't have to worry about any kind of Richmond advance or attack on the Carolinas here anytime soon. So We'll see how this goes. I'm imagining he's going to attack there, though, so that's why I think the next turn there should be some action. I was able to get my artillery over here to the front here to kind of stem any kind of advance by him. I think this should be enough to kind of hold him off. 267. I got Sidney Johnson moving over to Norfolk, and then what I'll do is I've got Smith. I'll attach him to Johnson, and then these two will be able to work in concert. I am moving B back up to the Army of Northern Virginia, and part of the reason is that then I can move Lee out of the stack, make Longstreet another corps commander, and then transfer the troops under Longstreet to B. That's the plan. So. And then probably what I'll do is I'll attach Lee to Walker, at least for the time being. That way Lee can be involved in any battles that happen. Because if you have your army commander without any troops in his stack, then he won't actually engage in the battle, and your corps commanders will basically conduct themselves as the field commanders. Now he did put some partisans here on my rail line, which is a bit annoying. So I'm moving some cavalry and artillery to take him out. He also put partisans up here. So I'm going to put some cavalry and artillery here and then move on them there. Again, with all of this with the anticipation of Kentucky joining the Union. And then I'm moving this corps under Edward Johnson down to, what is this, Humboldt. With this being kind of my first line of defense over in the west. And then what I'll end up doing is I'm moving Joseph E. Johnson forward as well, depending on how the circumstances kind of develop. My idea here is to hold Humboldt and Fort Henry, and then put troops inside this fort here as a kind of my first line of defense, and then kind of take things from there. Here's what I have under Joseph E. Johnson. I only have 2 divisions right now. You really should have 3 per stack. So I'm going to try and build up Hardee, because even though his defense is only 1, his offense is 3. Which I know is pretty standard, 3-1-1. Or rather, the 3 attack is relatively considerable for a division commander. But, for the strategy I have in the Mississippi, a lot of it's going to be based around defense. But the nice thing is I've got Chatham, who's got 3-3-3. And then I also have Claiborne, who's also got a 3 attack and then 6 defense. So this will be kind of a nice, flexible stack, both attack as well as defense. Whereas with Johnson, he's a bit more kind of defense-oriented. You get 2-2. 2-2, so you probably don't want to be attacking with a 2-2 stack. But I also need to get him another division commander as well, because he only has 2. So what I'm doing is I'm moving Shelby, which again has this 4-4, kind of up to Corinth. I should have known that. Moving him up to Corinth just in the anticipation of the Kentucky seceding. And I have a bit more troops moving here into Memphis. Holding Pat over in Hoke. He's got 2 divisions. Obviously, I don't want 3, but, you only want to commit so much to Arkansas. I could, with Forrest, hit up here at Salem, but I don't want to give away the fact that I have the stack here. I mean, my idea with him here is, as soon as he starts pushing south, jump over and either take Cairo, or, go up and take Salem, tear up the rail lines, really screw up a supply line. With that in mind, though, he can still get supplies from St. Louis down the river. So even taking Cairo, I'd really have to take Cairo to really affect his supply line. If I went up and destroyed his depot at Salem and ripped up the rail line, it'd affect him a little bit, but he still has the river from St. Louis. So I think as far as, cutting supply, my priority still is over here in the Missouri area, because if I can destroy this depot here and destroy this depot here with my Indians, that's going to do some pretty considerable damage to his supply. He's already building a supply here if he doesn't already have one. He's building roads, so he's trying to increase his supply output. Now, I am moving my Indians kind of west because I don't know if this guy's pressing south to try and take my supply stock. So I'm moving Van Dorn over. I'm moving my Indians over, and then I may bounce my Indians back east depending on what's happening over here. But we'll see. And then the far west we're actually having some success. So we've burned Arizona and New Mexico to the ground. So we're moving back here. And then we have these 2 forts here. We'll probably be able to destroy those forts, which will then give us some separation between us and his supply, which is up here at West Socorro. So he only has 189 power. We have 300 power, mainly because we've added some artillery to our division here. And what I like to do is destroy these supply depots, or not supply depots, the stockades. And then he does have a supply depot here, but he only has 189 power and not a whole lot of fortification. So he's got a couple supply wagons there as well. Depending on what's over here, which I don't think is there's a whole lot, I may jump over and attack, depending on where his fortifications are at. But I think the more likely approach is just kind of back off, because my supply here is pretty good. And I know the supply chain from, up here, the Colorados down into this area in New Mexico is not very good for the Union. So I don't have a whole lot to worry about in terms of any sort of advance. Here's what I'm building at the moment. 1 additional reinforcement for my line infantry, 2 for cavalry, 2 for light artillery, and then 1 for supply. And with that, I ran out of money. It definitely hurts to be the Confederacy. Building more rail pool, because as you can see, our rail pool is almost exhausted with the moves that we did. Basically, a lot of that came from moving Jackson's corps, which, again, with the Confederacy, just moving 1 corps pretty much uses up your entire rail logistics system. So that's why it's important to keep building it up. But with that, we'll come back when we have the turn. So, all right, see you in a few. Okay, so I'm back, and there were a couple of battles up in Leesburg, like I anticipated. They didn't go exactly the way I wanted them to, but they also didn't go poorly, so that's good. You would note that Jackson is back here on the rail line. That's actually where I would have wanted him to go if we didn't have a decisive victory up here at Leesburg, so that at least works out. And then also, Jeb Stuart fell back here too, along with the division of Walker's force that I had embedded with Stuart. So let's just dive right in here. Let's go over the battles. So first, there was this battle with Stuart. Now we got really lucky. So we had 5,400 troops there. He had 58,000. So I mean, he pretty much threw everything he had into Leesburg. I'm guessing I think he was kind of doing it for 2 purposes. 1, to cut Stuart off, and then 2, have that 2nd Corps next to Alexandria supporting McDowell. I would say this is actually helpful for me because it tells me that almost all of his troops in the Eastern campaign are all on the front. So I at least temporarily don't have to worry about any kind of invasion of like Norfolk or Richmond or the Carolinas or New Orleans, because I just don't see how he can sustain 58,000 troops here, plus his Alexandria troops, plus the troops that he has under McClellan, which are in the Shenandoah. But we were able to get away, so we only lost 652 troops, not bad. We did lose a little bit of our horse artillery, which sucks, but otherwise we were able to get out of there. Then the second battle was actually involving Jackson. So Jackson railed over, went into Leesburg. Unfortunately, Lee's corps did not jump into the fight like I had hoped. What I was really hoping for was like a full-on, battle where my 2 corps against his 2 corps, where he wouldn't have had an entrenchment bonus, and I could have walloped him pretty heavily. I didn't expect to annihilate him or, eliminate most of his army. What I was hoping to do was to bludgeon him enough where it would delay him a few more months from some sort of offensive, either down, down through, the Manassas or Richmond or whatever. So we got Lee. Now, like I said, he didn't really get into it because what happened was Jackson, for the most part. So you can see here, we got... Actually, I might be mistaken. Yeah, so it was Jackson for hour 1. And then finally, hour 2, the rest of my army got involved, but we only did 3 hours of battle. So I really didn't get a whole full force and effect from my attack. But you can notice he had 91,000 troops, which is a lot of men. However, it does tell me that he's, got all of his forces at the front right now. He doesn't really have anything in the rear. Obviously, I have everything I could muster for the most part up here, about 50,000 troops. And wasn't a whole lot of casualties considering, so therefore there wasn't a national morale swing of any sorts. Let me show you hour 3. We inflicted 161. So good cohesion hits on him too. As you can see here, here's what he's got. He's got a 311, 311, a 312, which is Prentice. He actually has Thomas over here, interestingly. That's interesting they brought Thomas over. 336. But that's it. I mean, he's got really terrible division commanders right now. That's why I was hoping for a full-on engagement. I mean, yeah, he's got twice as many troops as I do, but I really wanted this to go 6 hours. I really wanted to hit him hard. But anyways, so that's kind of what happened here. So now I have Jackson back here. What I did do is I pulled Lee out. I put Longstreet as a core. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this artillery piece. I'm going to put it in with Lee. I was talking to Josh about this. I went and looked on the forums. So what will happen is if Lee doesn't have an offensive unit, a fighting unit, so to speak, in his stack, then when I'm attacked, even here in Manassas, Longstreet will take over, which is good because he has 6 defense. But you also don't get that additional layer of chain of command, so you don't get that army bonus per se from Lee. At least I don't think you do. But nevertheless, like Lee won't lead the battle at Manassas, even though he's here in the stack. So what he needs is a fighting unit in his stack to make that happen. So what you do is you take an artillery piece, put him in with the army commander. And the reason you take an artillery piece is that very rarely will an attacking force attack a strictly artillery division or stack. So even though Lee will be engaged in battle and he'll have a fighting unit, and even his artillery will have the opportunity to fire at the enemy, the likelihood of the enemy actually attacking Lee's stack is very, very low. It's kind of the equivalent of if you put an entire division full of artillery. Very rarely will that division be attacked. It's really only attacked after all the other infantry units that are in the battle have been eliminated. So putting this artillery unit in with Lee, pulled him out. Now Longstreet's in charge of this division here. As you can see, pretty robust. 322. I got McClaw this round, so he's a 323, I believe. Perhaps even a 324. I'm not entirely sure. And then obviously D.H. Hill 433. And then I got Jackson here with Ewell 441, 322 under Loring, and then 322 Evans. Now I would like to take one of these 322 guys and move them west at some point. Hopefully an opportunity to present to do that. Here's my horse artillery. So I was able to maintain my horse artillery. I didn't lose that unit here. That's good. So I still have 4 cannons there. I am going to move Stuart kind of around and try and get a little bit of military control here and rip up the real line. Leave Jackson here to support Lee. And then Walker's kind of on standby until I kind of figure out what his next move is going to be. I do have this elite unit plus 4 artillery units that I'm moving up to Jackson. And then I'm moving a commander up into Jackson's corps. And what I'll do is I'll end up moving one of these guys out and send them west. So I'll have 3 divisions under Jackson. And then probably what I'll do is I'll take whatever leftover troops I have, give them to Walker to kind of round him out and go from there. I got these guys moving up. Most of these guys are all moving up to Jackson to basically support him. Same with him. I was able to get Sidney Johnson down here, so now I got these two guys supporting each other because I made him a corps commander. What I may end up doing, I mean, since I still have Norfolk, I may beef this up a bit more. Try and get, 2 divisions each and fortify it. I mean, if I do that, he's going to have to take it before he can even move on Richmond. So I may start doing that, like, next turn, potentially. Moving all my raiders over there. Let's see what else is going on over in the west. Kentucky is still neutral, which is hilarious. Josh was not happy about that. Alright, so I moved my guys back because I kind of anticipated Kentucky seceding, and they didn't. So this is going to be my first line of defense right here behind this river. Perhaps I'll move in Paducah when he crosses over just to kind of hit him quick. We'll see. I think he's underestimating the size of my force down here. I think he thinks all I have is this. I don't think he quite realizes I have this down here too. Which once I round this all out next turn, I'll go over it more thoroughly. Johnston's army. I'm thinking about potentially fortifying Corinth because it really is pretty vital to the Confederacy. You lose Corinth, I mean, you're at a huge disadvantage in terms of maneuvering troops from the Mississippi to the east and vice versa. Supporting Tennessee and the Kentucky front, and then the Mississippi front. Losing Corinth, it's pretty considerable. So we'll see there. Here's what I got in New Orleans, by the way. 2 artillery, 4 artillery. He's pretty well rounded out. I need to round him out. Honestly, I needed to start getting troops down New Orleans and get that bolstered up. I did put a redoubt here, so it's got that additional layer of defense. But New Orleans is huge for the Confederacy. That and Charleston provides a ton of money every turn. So, okay, now the other thing I'm doing here is I'm going to take my Indians and move them around and attack his supply depot there. And I'm taking Bedford Forest, and I'm attacking there. So hopefully we win both of these battles. And what that'll do is it'll cut his supply, at least temporarily, to Lyon. He does have, 2 supply trains there, so he can sustain himself for a little while. But my hope is that'll do enough to kind of make him at least kind of shift some resources back. I mean, I don't anticipate holding Fayetteville forever, but the longer I can hold it, the better, obviously. And then I'm putting some partisans here to tear up this rail line to delay any kind of reinforcements that might come down to Rolla. And then, or the supply area over here, so... and then last but not least, far west, we're doing pretty well over here, actually. So we were able to take these forts. Should be able to burn them next turn and then fall back. So I'm going to fall back, and that'll be success, in my opinion. Here's what we're doing for reinforcements. More line infantry. 1 more cavalry. I obviously would like to have a lot more into these, but I'm just hurting for money right now. As you can see, I'm not building a whole lot, and we're already out of money, so... It is what it is, I suppose, as the Confederacy. I'd like to put money in Liverpool this turn, but I don't have the money. And then that's it. So, alright, so thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully next turn here there'll be some more action. I suspect as soon as Kentucky secedes, there's going to be a lot of action in the Mississippi. I think he's just waiting to just roll me in Kentucky. I gotta imagine he's got a lot of troops just waiting to hit me, but we will see. So, thanks.